Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Review anything and everything. And here I'm just doing a little, I don't want to call it a major comparison video, but I'm just doing a little just doing a little, yes, I guess you could say comparison of the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex tongue versus the Epic Roaring's tongue. Because in a previous video where we did a review with the Hammond Collection T-Rex and also a versus battle versus the electronic real feel Tyrannosaurus Rex versus the Hammond Collection Rex, I had mentioned about the Hammond Collection Rex's tongue and how the only other one to have a real feel tongue like this was the Epic Roaring Tyrannosaurus, which actually started. I don't want to say started Mattel's line, but you could really say started their better figures or their more higher quality figures in terms of the sculpt. Now, after analyzing them, and I said to myself that they're the same tongue, just a little different. As I looked at them closer the other day, I realized that this one's material is different. This one's material seems a little harder, or it does. I thought it was thicker, but when you actually look at it, it doesn't necessarily physically look thicker. Maybe it is by a little bit, but it's very unnoticeable. But the material in this feels a lot more floppy, and this one feels a little more stiff. And it's not something that will just happen over time. It's just the way it is. I don't think this will eventually become like this. Also, this has a little bit more of a glossy coating on the Hammond Collection one, where the Epic Roaring has a more matte finish, and but in terms of the way they look, in terms of the little lines and the grooves that go, side to side between the baseline of the tongue and between, they both have those same things. So it's very interesting because they really are like the same tongue, just maybe slightly different material. Obviously, the Epic Roaring's tongue is larger because his whole head is larger. So the tongue is made to accommodate his larger head, while the his Hammond Collection Rex's tongue, his whole head, I'm sorry, is a little more in, not a little bit more, is more in scale with the line as a whole in terms of 3 3/4 in size. And I've gone into that before. But anyway, this is really just about the features of the tongue. Um, and so yeah, these are the only two that have a real feel tongue, which is very interesting because how this one came in a figure that started it all in terms of the premium or more detailed figures, because he kind of set the bar with the whole rubber teeth or soft plastic teeth, separate mold for the teeth, and then just the sculpt and everything like that. So then to introduce that, but then also start off on a high bar with a real feel tongue was very interesting. And you had no other T-Rex figure do that until the Hammond Collection one, which is very interesting that they wouldn't have made that a feature, a stay feature, which I think is why the Epic Roaring became such a classic. And I ended up buying him way after the fact that he already was out and he already had a huge fan base. But it's definitely a classic figure because it not only set the tone as far as the mold and the details and all that, and it's a great figure in regards to that, especially for when it came out. They have tried to improve on some features down the line, but some of the figures that came out in between were not better and didn't improve on it. So this really, that in itself gives it also even more merit. But the fact that you started at such a high bar with such features like that, a real feel tongue, and I just really think that that is definitely really a great feature. But I just wanted to compare those two things with the real feel tongues in both of them because this was something, like I said, that I was talking about just the other day in regards to these being the only ones that had that kind of feature. But another thing I wanted to point out as I was looking at these two figures and comparing the tongue, and this is a little separate thing, going away from the highlight of this video, which was the tongues and comparing the real feel tongues. We all know that the Hammond Collection's feet are incredibly large and not proportionate. But one thing that I realized as I pulled out the Epic Roaring, um, and this is more about the Epic Roaring and less about who I'm about to compare it to, but its feet are actually, I think at the time when it came out, people would say like, "Oh, his feet seem kind of big," or this and that. I think I've seen some videos that would say stuff like that. But the truth is, his feet are actually a really good size, and I just wanted to point that out because I noticed it yesterday that its feet are actually, and I got the Red Rex here right now. Let me see if I can get them both on here to show you. The Red Rex, see if I get it at an angle that you guys can see it better. He has longer feet. The Red Rex's feet are actually longer. Um, they're not necessarily wider, but they are longer, and it's very interesting because, well, I don't know why they would do that. He's not a bigger figure. I always thought the feet were the same as the other ones. And keep in mind, I just want to let you know that the Epic Roaring's feet are the same type of feet that are the um, on the Stomp and Escape. But I say that to say a lot of the correction, not correction, I don't want to say correction videos, where people have made updates to the feet of the Hammond collection feet, and you can buy them separately on a person's channel on Etsy or store on Etsy. It's very interesting because those feet, just visually, just by looking at it, I'm pretty sure are the same size. The ones that people buy at aftermarket for the Hammond collection are the same size as the feet for the Epic Roaring, or just about. But I'm pretty sure they are the same size feet because just looking at these feet here, you could tell the difference in size. I know I'm not getting a great angle on the camera as much. Let me see if you can see how big those are. So I say that to say, um, Mattel could have very well just made those feet on the Hammond Collection Rex the same size feet as the ones on the Epic Roaring. So it's not like they had to go and, people had to do custom ones. They could have had it right in house, which they already have. Those feet, obviously, you have to change them to have a ball joint at the top of them. But in terms of like the sculpt and the size of them, would have fit perfectly just using those same ones. So I think it's very interesting that the size of those feet, I don't think anyone really ever pointed out or realized that because this figure is such an older figure in comparison to the New Hammond collection Rex. But that is definitely something that is interesting. That to know that that set of feet would have gladly just fit on there. Like I said, we're changing up the top portion of it to be ball joint, but size wise, instead of people doing aftermarket, you have perfect feet right there. So that's crazy that just to notice that. But with that being said, you guys, put in comments down below any thoughts you guys have on all these T Rexes and whatnot. Um, great, great toys, great figures, great collectible items. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.